It's 11:47 p.m. A 13-year-old girl takes a selfie, stares at it for 9 seconds, then deletes it. She doesn't know it yet, but in that exact moment, she just became the most valuable person on the internet. Inside a metadata center, an algorithm registers her hesitation, a flag is raised, a profile is updated. And in less than 100 milliseconds, advertisers around the world are bidding real money for the right to sell her skincare while she feels ugly. On April 9, 2025, a woman named Sarah Wynn-Williams sat down in front of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime and Terrorism and confirmed this under oath. Wynn-Williams used to be Meta's director of global public policy. She'd seen the internal documents. She'd been on the calls. She had just published a book called Careless People, Naming Names. And she told the senators, quote, Meta could identify when teenagers were feeling worthless, helpless, or like a failure, and then sell that information to advertisers. Because advertisers know that when people don't feel good about themselves, that's the perfect time to pitch a product. She described a late-night call with a furious Australian ad executive. He wasn't angry that Meta was doing it. He was angry that Meta had been caught admitting it. He told her, quote, This is the business, Sarah. We're proud of this. This is what puts money in all our pockets. Here's what nobody tells you about the modern economy. It does not run on your satisfaction. It runs on your dissatisfaction. Carefully measured, industrially produced, sold by the millisecond. If you ever looked in the mirror tomorrow morning and decided your face, your car, your couch, your kid's school, all of it, was enough, the global economy would seize. This is not a new idea. To find the blueprint, you have to go back to January 1929, to the offices of General Motors. Charles F. Kettering is the general director of GM's research labs. He has a problem. Henry Ford's Model T is too good. It lasts too long. Once a family owns one, they stop buying. So Kettering writes an essay in Nation's Business magazine. The title says everything. Keep the consumer dissatisfied. His words, quote, If everyone were satisfied, no one would buy the new thing. The ore wouldn't be mined, timber wouldn't be cut. Almost immediately, hard times would be upon us. You must accept this reasonable dissatisfaction with what you have and buy the new thing, or accept hard times. You can have your choice. This is the birth of the annual model change. Same engine, new chrome, new tail fin, new shame for the person still driving last year's car. The seed had been planted 14 years earlier. In January 1915, Cadillac ran an ad in the Saturday Evening Post called The Penalty of Leadership. It didn't list a single feature of the car. It sold prestige, status, the fear of falling behind. By December 1924, the heads of the world's largest light bulb makers, Osram, General Electric, Associated Electrical Industries, had quietly met in Geneva. They signed an agreement called the Phoebus Cartel. Their light bulbs were lasting 2,500 hours. That was the problem. So they engineered them down to 1,000. Then in March 1929, a man named Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, hires young women to march down Fifth Avenue smoking cigarettes during the Easter parade. He calls them torches of freedom. Bernays just proved you don't sell a product, you sell a feeling. A cigarette isn't tobacco, it's liberation. It's the first time mass psychoanalysis is bolted onto mass marketing, and it works. Then the market crashes. October 24th, 1929. Factories sit idle. Economists realize industrial capacity has overshot basic human need. To survive, the economy has to stop selling necessities and start selling desires. And in November 1932, a New York real estate broker named Bernard London publishes a pamphlet with a chillingly honest title, Ending the Depression Through Planned Obsolescence. His proposal, that the government legally force every product to have an expiration date. After World War II, this philosophy becomes doctrine. And in March 1955, in the Journal of Retailing, a marketing analyst named Victor Lebow writes the most honest paragraph in capitalism's history. Quote, Our enormously productive economy demands that we make consumption our way of life, that we convert the buying and use of goods into rituals, that we seek our spiritual satisfaction, our ego satisfaction, in consumption. We need things consumed, burned up, replaced, and discarded at an ever-accelerating rate. So this is the system being built. But does it actually work? Does buying more stuff make people happier? Social psychologist David G. Myers ran the numbers. In June 1957, the National Opinion Research Center asked Americans if they were very happy. 35% said yes. Over the next 40 years, per capita GDP doubled. Americans got twice as many cars per person. They ate out twice as often. They got air conditioning, microwaves, dishwashers, the internet. The very happy number? It actually dropped slightly to around 32%. Material wealth doubled, joy flatlined. Myers later called it the American paradox, spiritual hunger in an age of plenty. In March 1971, two psychologists named Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell explained why. They called it the hedonic treadmill. Your brain is built for homeostasis. You buy the new car, you feel the dopamine, then your brain resets to baseline, and the car is just a car. To feel that high again, you need a newer one, a bigger one, a different brand. In September 1960, journalist Vance Packard published The Waste Makers and named the trick precisely. There are two kinds of obsolescence: functional, when the product actually breaks, and psychological, when the product is fine but you've been taught to be ashamed of it. In June 2004, the American Psychological Association published a cover story called Consumerism and Its Discontents. Decades of research, summarized in one sentence: materialistic values are directly linked to low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and lower life satisfaction. In the 1970s, the average American saw about 500 ad messages a day: television, magazines, billboards. That was the saturation point of the old world. Then, on October 23, 2000, Google launches AdWords with 350 advertisers. The auction goes online. The model breaks open. By June 2006, Yankelovich's J. Walker Smith reports the average urban consumer is now hit with 5,000 ads a day. Today, in 2026, the estimate ranges between 4,000 and 10,000 ad messages a day, every person, from the moment your alarm goes off. And the targeting got intimate. In June 2014, Facebook's own data scientists published a study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. They had secretly manipulated the news feeds of 689,003 users to see if they could control their emotions. They could. They proved that altering the ratio of positive and negative posts directly shifted users' real-world emotional states, without consent. The paper was called Emotional Contagion. 3 years later, in April 2017, a 23-page internal sales document leaked to the Australian newspaper, prepared by Facebook executives Andy Sin and David Fernandez. The pitch to advertisers was explicit. Facebook could target 13 to 17-year-olds, quote, during moments of psychological vulnerability, when they feel worthless, insecure, stressed, defeated, anxious, stupid, useless, and like a failure. 2 months later, in June 2017, the patent dropped. US 20150242679A1, granted to Meta. The title, Techniques for Emotion Detection and Content Delivery. The patent describes using your phone's front-facing camera to read your facial expression, sadness, boredom, anger, and then serving you an ad designed for that exact mood. So how does this actually work? When you open Instagram, you don't just see a feed, you trigger an auction, a financial auction, about you. It starts with what's called a supply-side platform, an SSP, the back office that puts your eyeballs up for sale. The SSP fires off a bid request, your device ID, your IP address, your exact location, your behavior in the last few seconds. That request hits a data management platform, a DMP, a database that has been quietly building a file on you. Not just age and gender, your ocean personality scores, openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, your insecurities, your current emotional state. The algorithms watch how fast you scroll, how long you linger on a post. That's called dwell time. Whether you just deleted a photo, whether the camera caught your face going flat. Then, on a demand-side platform, a DSP, hundreds of advertisers compete for you. And if the system has flagged you as vulnerable, lonely, or insecure, the price goes up, because your impulse control just dropped. Consumer psychologists have known for decades that impulse control collapses during negative emotional states. The industry has a polite name for it: retail therapy, mood repair through purchase. The entire auction, the profile, the bid, the winner, the ad, happens in under 100 milliseconds, before the page even finishes loading. So the teenager who deleted the selfie at 11:47 p.m., by 11:47:01, she's seeing a skincare ad, bought in that exact moment by a brand that knew she was raw. Add it all up. In December 2025, the global ad agency group Dentsu forecast that worldwide advertising spend would, in 2026, cross $1 trillion for the first time in history. $1.06 trillion, growing at 5.1% a year. While the IMF projects the entire global economy to grow at just 3.1%. The dissatisfaction industry is outrunning the actual economy by nearly 2 to 1. $460.5 billion of that is aimed at one country, the United States. 340 million people, absorbing nearly half the world's psychological manipulation budget. Follow $1 through the pipeline. A beauty brand allocates $10,000 to target teen girls who just deleted a selfie. The DSP takes 10 to 20%, call it $1,500, just for the privilege of placing the bid. The data brokers take their cut by the 1,000 impressions, 50 cents to $2 per CPM. The SSP takes another 10 to 15% on Meta's side of the auction. Meta walks away with 65 to 80 cents of that dollar, which it reinvests in making the algorithm more addictive. So you scroll longer, so more ads can be served, so the cycle compounds. But on October 24, 2023, the system finally drew blood in court. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, leading a bipartisan coalition of 33 state attorneys general, filed a federal lawsuit against Meta in the Northern District of California. Case number 423-CV-05448. The opening line, quote, "Meta has harnessed powerful and unprecedented technologies to entice, engage, and ultimately ensnare youth and teens. Its motive is profit." Then, on March 25, 2026, in Los Angeles Superior Court, a jury delivered the first verdict of its kind. Case K.G.M versus Meta Platforms and Google. $6 million in damages awarded to a young woman whose addiction and mental distress the jury blamed on the platform's design. The first product liability verdict ever returned against a social media company. Meta and Google asked the judge to throw out the verdict. On June 11, 2026, Judge Carolyn Kuhl said no, and her ruling cracked open a wall that big tech had hidden behind for 30 years, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Kuhl ruled that Section 230 does not protect a company from claims of negligent product design. An algorithm engineered to addict and depress isn't speech. It's a defective product. 2 weeks earlier, on May 26, 2026, the U.S. Supreme Court had refused to block a wave of consolidated lawsuits against Meta. Hundreds of state and federal cases. The doors are now open. But the system itself hasn't stopped. It can't. It's not a glitch. It's the engine. We don't live in a goods economy anymore. We live in an attention economy. And the commodity being traded, the only commodity, is the gap between who you are and who you've been taught to wish you were. The next time you feel a sudden, inexplicable urge to buy something, a Stanley Cup, a new water bottle, a skincare serum you don't need, pause for 1 second. Ask yourself what you were feeling 30 seconds before that urge arrived. Bored, tired, a little down on yourself, slightly less than. Because somewhere, in the 100 milliseconds between you opening that app and the ad appearing, a machine measured that feeling, auctioned it, sold it, and nobody told you it had a price. Charles Kettering told us in 1929 that the economy needs us dissatisfied. A century later, it just got very, very good at making sure we are. The light bulb was always going to die at 1,000 hours. They just never told you it could have lasted